Hello, I'm Congressman Jonathan Jackson, representing Illinois' 1st Congressional District. I went to Minnesota just about 2 weeks ago. There was a time when we had a congressional oversight hearing, a field hearing, to see exactly what's going on the ground. 50 persons from Minnesota, community activists, great Americans that have been out there doing the right thing, the righteous cause, fighting to make sure that people are treated decently and humanely. Today I'm greeted by 3 of my dear friends from Minnesota. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and we're going to have a candid conversation on what is going on in Minnesota. Please help me.
Yeah, my name is Shannon Gibney, and I am a parent leader in Minneapolis Families for Public Schools.
My name is Lawrence Edison. I'm part of the leadership team of the Minority Small Business Network, and I'm a manager and owner of Custom Designs.
And my name is Michaela Williams. I am a staff member with Take Action Minnesota and a member of Duluth Tenants.
So let's start with you, Michaela. What's going on in Duluth with ICE? Has ICE been to Duluth yet?
Yes, we've had actually at the beginning of last year, right after Trump took office, I think it was 3 roofers were abducted on a construction job in one of our neighborhoods. We haven't quite seen the surge that Minneapolis and St. Paul have seen in the suburbs from there, but we are, our community is fearful, but we are coming together for our neighbors, both within Duluth and also in the cities and elsewhere in Minnesota.
Can you tell us more about the circumstances? Had they broken the law? Was it on the job site? Was it after work?
We still don't know who those individuals were, just that they were abducted and documented before we had all the constitutional observer training. They were, someone had the foresight to take a video of them being abducted off of the construction site in the house, on the house. Yeah, they were just working. But yeah, we don't know where they went.
That's horrifying. Yeah. And I want to ask about the business environment. Clearly, this is something that's incalculable, that one day people are moving around, how economies go, how dollars flow, and then all of a sudden your business dries up. What's been the impact on the business community after ICE's presence?
The presence of ISIS have impacted small businesses in the community. Devastating. It's been a devastating impact on the economy.
Have you been impacted?
Of course. A lot of customers and our clients are afraid to come outside, are afraid to come and do business due to the fact that a lot of our clients own their own businesses. So businesses who we've done business with, they've shut down due to the ICE presence in Minnesota. You have a lot of business owners who haven't been opening up their business because they're immigrants and they're afraid to snatch up. Although some of them have their cards, although some of them are legal.
And how long has this been going on for?
I would say now it's going on a couple of months, 2 to 3 months. And you have seen the impact on the economy. Like you just seen, I've witnessed business close as of lately. I've I've talked to certain business owners who say they're on the brink of closing due to the impact of ISIS.
And so for quite a few people have not tried to start a small business. And we have to paint the picture that when you start your own business, you have to finance it yourself through friends and family. You have to pay rent to the store first. Then you have to pay rent for your home that you've put your heart into your inventory. Now you have no sales. You have nothing to fall back on.
And I'm glad you touched upon that. That's a key point because like me and my brother business, we started from the ground up. We're in the center of the community and we're the heart of the community. So like you said, we have to pay rent, not only for the business, but personal rent. And so due to the fact that customers aren't coming in to spend money, how are we going to afford to pay rent? And you're seeing that in so many businesses from restaurants. In one community over Northeast, there was a time when you had at least 6 or 7 Hispanic restaurants that we used to go to. And since the invasion of ISIS, they're closed down completely.
Yeah, well, domestic ISIS, I mean, whatever organization's creating terror, terror is terror no matter what part of the world that it's in. Give us an update, if you will, on why Minnesota, why now? What's the demographic, what's the composition? Minnesota is a very, very unique place. Minnesota is the town of, in Minneapolis of Prince. You know, I remember when Prince first came on the radio, they did not know where to play him. Were they going to put him on R&B? Should he go on soul rock? How did he want to be defined? And he was coming out, writing, producing, arranging his own sound. And then he came up with this multi-ethnic band, and he was on the cutting edge of the new world. My first time, I remember going to Minnesota. I was with my father, Reverend Jackson, and we saw Mr. Hubert Horatio Humphrey on his deathbed, a great, stallion of a man for justice and for freedom. And then we saw, most recently, the vice presidential nominee and governor, Governor Walz. We've seen Vice President Mondale. So we know this is a liberal bastion. This is kind of like an oasis in the Midwest. And what is up with Minnesota now?
Well, yeah, I mean, Minnesota, I've lived there for 23 years now, and born and raised in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So definitely Midwesterner through and through.
And definitely love the cold.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think Minneapolis, St. Paul is a step up from that, even from Chicago, I would say. But Minnesota is a state that, you know, we give the most money to arts of any state. We have the most theater seats per capita. We have a lot of international immigration. So we have the most Somali folks outside of Somalia. Increasingly, we're getting like Karen immigrants, Ecuadorian immigrants, Liberian immigrants. And
Isn't there an Asian population
yes,
further to
Hmong.
the Canadian border?
Yep, the Hmong people as well. We have the largest Hmong population as well. So it's just, a lot of people don't really understand how complex and layered and multifaceted our communities are. And as you say, you know, talking about some of the political legacies of the place, you know, it's traditionally, you know, a very blue state. And it's a union town too. So it's a place that I think, yeah, like I was saying, it's very complicated in the best way possible. And also, of course, there's, like any place, there's some things that are difficult about it too.
So the other side, I would say, I was up there giving a speech not long ago, and when I think of Minnesota, and people are like, well, what's going on here? And I remember being in the middle of COVID, and we were all horrified by what we saw happen with Mr. George Floyd.
Yes.
We saw a public execution.
Yes.
We saw strangulation. We saw suffocation with officers standing around. And there would have been another side to the story had this been litigated if there was not the 9 minutes of video that a child had the courage to put on. No one would have believed that George Floyd versus 4 officers, that 4 officers would go from testifying to testifying. But this child, and thank goodness she had enough battery juice, she was traumatized, horrified, and these people would not let up off of his neck. Now we go on to see Mrs. Good, where a woman that was doing a righteous thing and was trying to avoid the officer. This officer, Jonathan Ross, broke all the protocols, trying to stand in front of a car. She steered away from him, and her airbag on her automobile became her body bag. He shot her in the face. Her last words were, "I'm not mad at you." And his last words were an expletive and calling her a female dog. Then we go on to see Alex Petty doing a courageous thing, a man that's dedicated himself to the nursing profession, cares for our veterans, and he sees a woman getting pushed by an ICE agent. Well, if you've not committed a crime and you're not under arrest, you cannot put your hand on someone. The officer assaulted her. Being a man, he just stepped in front of her and said no. being an American citizen in full compliance with the law, he had a right to bear arms. He didn't banish it or what. I'm sure he forgot that he even had it. I'm sure he just wears it every day. After the gun was removed is what we saw. Then they started shooting him. And I don't know if they've released the autopsy report, 9 or 10 times shot in the back,
Yes.
in below zero weather outside. What is going on in Minnesota?
I think
Where's this anger coming from? Where are these Proud Boys, these Oath Keepers? Who are these masked men that are like now marauders that are coming in there?
so. With the great big beautiful bill that was passed, like there's tons and tons of money that has gone into ICE,
Let me be very specific. It's the 10th largest military force
Yes.
in the entire world.
yes,
That was just funded on July 4th, 2025.
yes,
And they have a slush fund of $75 billion
Yes.
to build detention facilities. I
which
think
they're
people-
starting to go like community to community and actually buy up those warehouses and all these things, So I mean, we just learned that Homeland said this morning that they were going to draw down the troops, the 3,000 agents that we've had there for 3 months, 2.5. Started out with 300.
And your police force only has 600 people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so and just for context too, at the height of the Chicago surge of ICE, they had maybe 500 agents, and they're 3 times the size of the Twin Cities. So,
And we have 13,000 people in our police department.
right. So, I mean, it just is like, it just boggles the mind. I think, there's just like a lot of different threads to kind of understand here with Minnesota. I mean, I think definitely 5 years ago, when George Floyd was murdered by the Minneapolis Police Department, at that point, I mean, that was some of the largest protests in the world, actually, that people had to protest that. And I think it really caused a reckoning, especially with a lot of white folks and white Minnesotans in general that then had to sort of come to terms with the fact that, wow, my black and brown friends, my black and brown colleagues, my black and brown family members, like they've been telling me about these incidents with law enforcement and racial profiling and violence and deadly force and all this stuff. And this is actually, they were actually telling the truth, right? Because they could see it from the video. And so I think a lot of very uncomfortable conversations happened because of that, in terms of what is the role of police, what is the role of policing. And it's interesting because I think being black in Minnesota is also a really interesting thing. That's how I identify as well in this moment, because for us, what is happening now is different for sure than what happened 5 years ago with George Floyd and the MPD. It's also related, So you can't say, because basically these, I want to say goons, but these folks who are ICE agents have the protection of the state to go around and basically do whatever they want. They have minimum training. And police officers also are some of the only people in our society that we've said collectively they can have guns and they can go around and they're supposed to serve and protect. But we know, especially if you come from historically marginalized communities like Black folks, like Indigenous folks, like immigrants, that historically these law enforcement agencies have not always operated under the auspices of the law and the Constitution. Now, ICE, I believe we can see conclusively that this is another step above, like not following constitutional norms.
Well, there's a parallel in history. One of the things that was so dramatic about what happened in Minnesota, in my point of view, is there was an Arctic blast about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so the nation went into a deep freeze. 200 million Americans had experienced this deep freeze, something that is unreal. There was 30-degree weather in Florida. There was more snow in Atlanta than in Chicago. So the nation, its attention had been arrested. People were sheltering in place. They couldn't move. The airports were shut down. And in that moment, everyone saw the news of the day. People can do podcasts here and there, but this time everyone saw the same news. Everyone saw Miss Good shot in the face. Yeah. Shortly thereafter, there was a second deep freeze. Everyone saw Mr. Petty shot in the back while he was being restrained. It was a George Floyd moment when people were in the house and they were going through COVID and everyone was watching the same news. And so I think it really focused the nation's attention at the same time. And my remarks in Minnesota was, why is it happening here? Because that river, the Mississippi River, starts in Minnesota. That river has a memory.
Yeah.
And those same, not Gestapo, this isn't Europe, this is America. This is in the history of law enforcement, more of the slave catchers.
Yes.
And in this African American History Month, we have to recall the history.
Yep.
This is policing people's bodies,
Yep.
their language, their movements,
Yep.
their skin colors, where people are saying, what are you doing here? You don't belong. ICE agents, law enforcement people are simply singling you out by how you look. You have an accent. Show me your papers. That's the slave codes that we're now repeating all over again.
Yes.
So I want to hear from you on why Minnesota at this time, that those, I believe it's many people, since they've hidden their identities of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, that this might have been a backdoor way to give those persons, some of those January 6th insurrectionists, law enforcement jobs. This is a job that they would be very well qualified to do and eager to do. Someone with a conscience wouldn't want to do this job. Would you disagree?
I mean, we've had people, I think his name is Jake Lang. We've had people who were convicted of January 6th insurrectionist crimes and then pardoned by President Trump.
So what's Jake Lang doing now? Is he in Minnesota?
He was in Minnesota about, was it 2-3 weeks ago? And he came, he said that he was going to burn the Koran. Yeah, in downtown Minneapolis. And then there were counter protesters there. And he was actually saved by two, I think it was two black men who got him out of there before his body could be harmed by other people. He also, I believe it's the same guy, it might be a different guy, but it was somebody who was convicted.
Is Jake Lang from Minnesota?
No.
So he came there to be a provocateur.
Yes. Somebody else, it's either him or somebody else also came, and somebody made this ice sculpture, which is a very Minnesotan thing to do, arts form, in front of our state legislature building and our state capitol. And they made an ice sculpture that said, prosecute ICE. And it was a veterans group, actually. And they got all the permits, they got all the stuff for it, they did it the right way. And he came in and he completely vandalized it. And so he's been charged as well. So, yeah, there's been, and then I think we just heard too, I heard a report out of, I think it was the Richfield Police Department was doing background checks. And they found out that one of the people who's responsible for hiring ICE agents is a sexual predator, high up. So yeah, there's a lot of connections there, I think.
And I think that's why 50 of us, left a war zone to be here on Capitol Hill, because $10 billion more for this kind of violence is unacceptable. We are bravely showing up for our neighbors. Many of us putting our bodies on the line. We saw with Renee Good and Alex Preddy literally sacrificing their lives for their neighbors, as well as family members and friends who are being abducted and also killed in detention centers. And the least our legislators can do is not continue to fuel the funding that fuels that violence, and as well as hold ICE and CBP accountable for those murders and deaths.
So let's tell our friends back at home how your trip has been to Washington, D.C. Some of the highlights, who have you met, how your meetings have gone.
It's been a lot of running around, but There's just 3 of us. I think I heard we've met with 48 legislators on Capitol Hill. A bunch of not just us, but of the Minnesotans who are here today, we've met with 48.
Well, everybody knows the Trump administration has met its match when they've gone into Minnesota. I mean, bad enough they came into Chicago and they put the United States military, they landed it just a few blocks from my house. But now when you go to Minnesota, and I'm not talking about the Vikings as in the football team, I'm talking about the Viking spirit. You all can show up at a demonstration in 20 below zero. That's very unique. And so the weather's only going to get better from here, and the crowds are going to get bigger. What's next in Minnesota? When can I come back up there to join
Please.
another march, huh?
But I mean, anytime, really, you're always welcome. But you know, Minnesota.
And hold on. Let's agree. Holman's not leaving. Holman's got run out of town. The Vikings
Thank
fought
you.
him back. Let's be clear.
Let's be clear.
This wasn't his choice.
No.
And who's that? Bombani? What was that guy?
Bovino.
Bovino, whatever that fool's name is.
Yeah.
He's gone. He did not get reassigned. He got fired.
Yes.
You all turned him around. Holman
did.
had to come in, and he looks like everybody's grandpa. Looked like he has a heart. He said, I pray, get out of here, man. And now he's had to leave.
Yes.
Pam Bondi, you've had to bring her back before the hearing. You all have turned this administration inside out, upside down. The administration now, it's polling. They've lost the confidence of the American people. This started in Minnesota. The Vikings have fought back. I'm like, why would he want to fight people that were born, that move into an Arctic climate in the middle of the winter? Of course they're going to win. It's your terrain.
Yeah,
But
they
you have that
didn't-
indomitable spirit.
They didn't think it through. I think that's clear. And I think also just like their worldview is one that's very much of sort of like us versus them. And so I think it's really hard then for them to understand what Minnesotans, the way that we live, which is neighbor to neighbor. Like if you are my neighbor, you're the person who's going to help me get my car out of the snowdrift. If you're my neighbor, you're the person who's probably
You all survived together.
yeah, we're going to go to church together and all of these things, right? And so
Let me just jump in on that because it's a composite nation in Minnesota, which is so beautiful. And that you mentioned the point is us versus them. Minnesotans are together racially and socially, that you all do so much together. And I think the bad weather helps create
Yes.
It creates that culture where
Yes.
you know not to go past your neighborhood that needs to get shoveled out because you may need to get shoveled out tomorrow.
I mean, you will.
And like these are Caucasian people, and Miss Good and Miss Petty and Mr. Petty, and they died standing up for people that are not of their ethnicity, not of their race, not necessarily speaking the language that they have, but they just saw the humanity and they had compassion for them.
Mm-hmm.
We owe them an extra debt of gratitude.
I agree. And what's next in Minnesota is solidarity, prosperity, because what this has done has brought us all together up under one cause, and the cause is freedom, justice.
Your spirit is absolutely contagious. People have now picked up on this across the country. We're going to have closing comments. Please share with us what you'd like for the audience to hear.
Yeah, they are apparently pulling out of Minnesota, but it's not.
They got kicked out of
Yeah,
Minnesota.
they got kicked out of Minnesota, but it's not over till it's over. Till
Yes.
they're out of Minnesota and out everywhere, because where are they going to go next? And so we will stand with each other until, they're gone forever.
What our mission is to create an agenda as one that continues to push for affordability, dignity, and community. And that's our agenda. And that's our purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, as you said, they got kicked out of Minnesota, right? And so hopefully, I think it shows that they can get kicked out of anywhere. If people actually, it's been an incredible organizing project on many different levels, whether it's patrols, mutual aid, transportation, driving kids, all of these things. But it can be done, And so I hope the example of Minnesota, because they will go someplace else. They have all this money now. they'll go someplace else. And so I hope that the example shows, like, you can fight back and you can win. But like, hopefully we don't have to go through this kind of trauma, because I wouldn't wish this, having lived through 3 months of this, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. So I don't want to see any more communities have to deal with being brutalized in the ways that Minnesotans have been brutalized. I want it to stop. I want ICE to be abolished.
Well, I want to say thank you for being great Americans, for being courageous, for having integrity, having character. And I want that same spirit in Minnesota. That's contagious. That now has to go across the country and across the world. Thank you for your service. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for being a part.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for having us.
Yeah.
All right.